What a misadventure for Jean Pierre Dick yesterday towards the end of the day when Saint-Michel Virbac enters the Forbidden Zone, the famous Antarctic exclusion zone defined by the racing directors to avoid competitors to near drifting ice. This famous Antarctic exclusion zone is always evolving. During the race, we get pertinent information which we necessarily transmit to the competitors. This is why we sometimes must modify certain points. Jean Pierre Dick didn't integrate in his navigation software that the ice wall had moved up north, which explains the error for which he had to turn around for and go back to where he went off. As a result, he lost 8 hours and got reprimanded humorously by his nearest pursuer.
Mon petit Jean Pierre.
My dear Jean Pierre. He did something silly, didn't he? My little Jean Pierre. And of course, it couldn't go unnoticed because that's a real hefty one. Congrats, my dear Jean Pierre, because there isn't much for us to laugh about, except my buddy boy. Thank you for the great laugh. This one's gonna stay in the track record. That's heavy. Come on, Jean Pierre. Good luck and catch you later. Bye, you all. 3,700 kilometers away at the outposts, the two leaders keep offering us a most beautiful duel. At the break of dawn, after a night during which 9 jobs were numbered, the winner
is Armel Leclerc on Banque Populaire. He's slowly catching up me overnight. So he's obviously come with a bit better breeze, but I'll be back on starboard in less than a day, so we look forward to that. In the meantime, I'm going to push hard as I can and try and stay in touch with this guy.
Let's go back 6,400 kilometers to find Louis Burton, ahead of the pack, getting ready to cross the Cape of Good Hope under good escort.
Une baleine.
Wow, a whale! 100 meters away from the boat. A whale! A whale! No joke. Gives me the shivers. I swear I'm shivering. What a Vendee Globe!
Welcome to the office. Just having a lunch break from the engine. As you know, we lost the start engine. So now we are trying to figure out a way to start the engine with the sails, believe it or not. Anyway, just to keep it simple, with the sail, the power of the sail and the rope that goes from the sails all the way back in, around and on the engine, this is the end of the rope. And let's say this is the axis of the engine. We have this rope wrapped around like this, tight. This rope goes outside. And when ready, we let go of the sail, and with the power, whoosh, this turns and the engine should start. That's the theory. I'm not going out there in the Indian Ocean without a proper way of starting the engine. It's too dangerous. There you go. That's the update of the day. We're still working on it, and I'll keep you posted tomorrow on our progresses. Cheers. See you tomorrow. Aventure.
Well, a very good day and welcome back to Vendee Live. It's day number 28 on the race course of this 8th Vendee Globe. Our special guest today is Charles Caudrelier and Mary Rook. Thank you for joining us. Charles, of course, was the winner of the Volvo race on Groupama previously, and skipper of Dongfeng, and heading out for another Volvo race on as skipper of Dongfeng in the future. Won the Transat Jacques Vabre on the Amocas, done just about everything. Also won the Figaro. Welcome, Charles. We'll join you in a minute. And Mary Rook, who is our British Figaro sailor and did her first Figaro, and looking forward to the Vendee Globe at some point, Mary.
Yes, absolutely.
Indeed. Anyway, it's not so much about Paris match today as the match race towards Cape Leuin. 2 days ahead of them, we'll pass Cape Leuin. About 6 days ahead of Françoise Gabard's record pace at the moment, so a very, very fast race. And this morning, Armel Leclerc is back in the lead, taking Bank Popular, is bossing the boss for the moment, but that is just for the meantime. So the top of the fleet, Armel Leclerc leads, took over from Alex at 8 o'clock this morning. He's about between 3 and 4 miles ahead. Probably a little bit of a recovery day for these two skippers. It was a very, very intense Friday, making between 7 and 9 jibes over the course of a 12-hour period. So perhaps a little bit of recovery. Meantime, Jean Pierre Dick in 7th strayed into the Antarctic exclusion zone yesterday evening. His problem was he didn't update to the exclusion zone, which was changed slightly a few days ago, and because of ice by the Kerguelen Islands, and so he lost about 8 hours. He had to turn round and retrace his course for about 4 hours. He lost about 140 miles and 8 hours of racing. Anyway, let's have a look at the classements, like the standings at midday today. Armel Leclerc on top, making about 20 knots on port jibe, which is significant for the moment. Alex Thompson 4.57 miles behind in second at midday. Sebastien Josse, 526 miles behind the leader, made up 200 miles, but he's lost about 30 to the leaders over the course of the morning. Paul Meillat still going well in fourth, 1,219 miles behind the leader, making 15 knots. Jeremy Biou in fifth place, 1,246 miles behind the leader, just 27 miles of difference between himself and Paul Meillat. Jan Elias, 1,700 miles behind in sixth. Jean Pierre Dick, 2,030 miles behind in 7th place. Jean Le Cam now 2,153 miles behind, 123 miles behind Jean Pierre Dick. Thomas Ruyant in 9th at 2,259 miles behind the leader, and Quito de Pavon 2,947 miles behind the leaders. Let's also then look at the internationals. In 12th place just now, Kajiro Shirashai has gone up to 12th. He's going really, really well, 3,758 miles behind the leader. Nandor Fa up 1 place to 14th on the midday rankings. Conrad Coleman in 16th now, 3,819 miles behind the leader. Rich Wilson in 20th, 4,114 miles behind the leader. Enda Okainen 21st. Peter Harima in 23rd and Didac Costa in 25th. We're going to have a word then with Charles Caudrelier. Tell me what you think of the race of Alex Thompson so far. It's been a little bit of a surprise, perhaps, to the top French.
Oh, we are not surprised. We know he has a good boat. He has a lot of experience, and we know he will push, and he pushed a lot. And I think he's giving the rhythm of this race. Unfortunately, he broke one foil, so he has to reduce. He reduced the speed. But I think he's making the show now, and he's giving a lot of job to Armel. And Armel.
It's very, very close just now. We had a video which came in just before we started, which showed how close they are. I think Alex and Armel saw each other yesterday. They're only about 1.5 miles apart. So here we have a quick look at this. There's Armel there on the horizon, about 3/4 of a mile away. And this video has just come in this morning. Incredibly close racing, Charles.
Yes, like the previous race where François and Armel were fighting. This time it's between Alex and Armel, and it's nice to see that.
Mary, what are your thoughts on Alex's race and the race at the front of the fleet? You know, as an aspiring Vendee Globe sailor.
Yeah, well, I think it's incredibly inspiring and then brilliant to see a British person doing so well, especially for Alex, who's been going at it and working so hard for a long time.
And you've been at home in England recently, have you? Or?
Yes, yeah, I'm back training in the Figaro in Cowes in the Isle of Wight. So yeah, it's been great to be there and feel very British, especially when he got his Union Jack out with the helicopter photo shoot the other day.
And what's the feeling at home within the kind of sailing community? It's really lit up the sailing community at home, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's made everyone very excited for the race and really following it a lot harder than potentially before. And I think it's really good that we're giving the French a little run for the money.
And Charles, you had ambitions at one stage to do the Vendee Globe. Is that in the past now? It's all Volvo race for you.
Yes, I'm very concentrated on the Volvo Ocean Race. This is really my goal today, but I didn't give up to think about the next one, maybe.
The next one, maybe.
Yes,
When you see guys who are over 60 doing it, maybe it's something you would do when you're older.
exactly. It will be a good job for her.
But you've been working very closely with Sebastien Josse. What do you think of his race? It's a very steady, mature race, isn't it, in some respects?
Yeah, I know that very well, Seb, and I know he will do. You know, it's a long race. Unfortunately, he has this damage on the rudder, and he lost a lot because the 100 miles he lost make him change of system. He changed of system, and now he has one system. He's one system back the leader, and it's not easy to come back.
What do you think of the race of Armel? I mean,
Armel
he goes in as the favourite.
I'm very impressed. Armel is making the race as he knows to do it with a lot of experience. He's very clever. I think now he know that Alex is not 100%, so he tries to stay close to Alex. I think his goal is stay close to Alex and arrive with him in Cape Horn, which is very far. Maybe something will happen before, but he knows that if he passes the Cape Horn with Alex, Alex will have a big problem with one foil.
Tell me about the psychological battle there between the two, where Alex, told everybody straight away that the foil was broken. That's not something that the French would have done, is it?
But I think everybody will have understand because the difference of speed is huge between a foil and without. So yes, I don't know. I don't know if he did the right choice, but it was nice to him to tell him because it's very interesting to see the difference and maybe it is. I don't know why he decided to do it, but I think we will have seen on the performance of the boat that something happened. So.
But it's been an impressive performance with only one foil so far.
Yes, and he's pushing a lot, and yes, it's amazing. He really makes the show.
Good. Thanks, Charles. Anyway, let's have a look at the animation, how the fleet is standing as we speak. At the back of the fleet, Didac Costa still fighting upwind in the South Atlantic high-pressure system. Sebastien Desmarau is slowed with his engine problems, and he said he's not going to go any further until he gets his engine sorted out. Enda Koinin and Alan Rurer side by side there on Port Jibe, making good progress. Lewis Burton leading the famous five, the peloton towards the Cape of Good Hope. 100 miles to go for Louis. He should be there by about 1800 hours this evening. Conrad Coleman and Shira Shai are having a good close race. Jean Lecombe and Thomas Ruyant close at the moment. 16 to 18 knots of boat speed for them. Then we see Jean Pierre Dick then making this error, turning back, puts the handbrake on and retraces his course for 4 hours. Lost, as I said, about 140 miles. Jan Elias is slowed for the passage of a big bullet low-pressure system coming south from Madagascar and Mozambique. And at the front, we see this duel continuing, a dual slalom at the front of the fleet. 9 jibes for Alex and 7 for Armel. So, Mary, let's talk a little bit about your aspirations to do the Vendee Globe. When would you see yourself being at a level where you could compete?
Well, for me, I really love competitive racing, so I'd really like to always compete at a race where I feel like I could do well. So I still feel I've got a couple more years of solo sailing and offshore sailing to really learn a lot more about it before I'm ready for a race like that. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to do more and learn as much as possible.
And what about the absence of women in this race this time round? I mean, it's a sad situation, but it's understandable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of the great offshore ladies were taken away with the Volvo race. So I think, next time that it will be a lot more represented by women. So I hope so.
And what are your plans to do the Figaro again next year?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I've got a bit of sponsorship, so I'm really hoping to do it again next year and build on what I've learned and make a bit better performance.
Charles, obviously the Figaro was the foundation of your career in some respects. What does it bring to the party when you move up to the IMOCA?
I think the good point on the Figaro is everybody has the same boat, so everything is very important, every details, and you need to build a better spin than the other one, and that's why you learn a lot on the Figaro, and you become a good driver and a good trimmer.
And what about the general pattern of this race, because it's very, very spread out?
What about?
The general pattern of this race? It's very spread out. The gaps are very big between second and third in this race.
Yes, it's always the same. But you have big difference in the fleet in terms of performance of the boat, and so I'm not surprised. I'm a bit disappointed that there is only 2 boats ahead because sad for Seb, and I think Jeremy Bayou had a good boat, and he's not in the.
And Jan Elias as well. I mean, these guys are quite a long way behind in terms of distance.
But this race is. If you miss a system, if you lost, you passed. Just 100 miles can very quickly become 500 miles because you miss a system, and you lost the good system.
Okay, thanks, Charles. I think we have Enda Coynin on Kilcullen Voyager. Enda, can you hear us? You're live in Paris.
Yes, I can hear you very. I can hear you very clear.
Enda, how is it today on Kilcullen Voyager? How are you getting on?
Yeah, it's a good day today. We had a lot of wind last night. We had as much as 40 knots at one stage. So I had 3 reefs in the main and toddled along. We've now got about 22 knots, and we're doing about 14, 15 knots at both speeds. So happy out, all good. It's getting a bit cold, but other than that, it's good sailing.
And what was last night like?
Pretty awful. I looked at the speed of 40 knots. You know, it was a steady 33, 34 knots. I said, oh, can't get much more than that, but it actually went up to 40. So at that stage, I rolled up the head sail and just sailed with 3 reefs in the main and no head sail. But we were going downwind, so it was fine. You know, there's no big issues.
And how's the boat?
Can you see me, or hello? Hello?
We can. Oh yes, a little bit. Yes, we can see the outside of the boat now.
Yeah, that's a shot looking forward. Yeah.
Looks good.
Yeah. Is this visual online or is it just voice?
No, it's live. You're live in Paris with a live audience.
Oh, great. Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Hello to everybody. This is the first live connection, actually, I've got. So I'll give you a little look around the boat. That's looking astern. Moving along very nicely. And I need to wipe the lens a bit on the stern there. And that's me! So, yeah, it's great sailing. Absolutely great sailing. No big issues. And my main concern is just to keep the boat well maintained, and I'm doing a bit of writing and a bit of other recreational activities, so it's absolutely great sailing.
And you're having quite a good race now as well. You're getting into it and making some progress.
Yeah, it's a slow starter. I have this fatal attraction to islands, so I went west, or east rather, and went in around the Canary Islands, and I should have taken the conventional wisdom, which was to keep west. So I really dropped back 2 or 3 days. I'm not that mad into the racing. I just would like to stay with the fleet. So I'm back with the fleet now, which is nice. And we're just sailing along. I think we've picked up a few places, but really my objective is to get around, and it's quite a personal journey.
Listen, Enda, I believe that you promised Will, my colleague, that you'd do some singing today.
Or did I?
Yeah, you did.
What's the quality like? What's the quality like there?
It's good enough.
Sing a song or play a tune or something?
Both. Go on.
Can you pick that up?
Perfect. Go on.
Oh, rotate the back. Oh, well, yeah. Oh, rotate the back. Oh, yeah. Oh, rotate the back. Oh, well, yeah. The Mr. Hudson, sorry. Say the Baha Shanvan, we're run away like Dr. Soldier, run away like Dr. Soldier, run away like Dr. Soldier, Mr. Hudson, sorry. oh, roche the ba, oh, well, yeah, oh, roche the ba, oh, well, yeah, oh, roche the ba, oh, well, yeah, Tunisha, Hoxton, Harry. How about that? It's a bit hard when you're moving around.
Very good. Fantastic. I think that's probably a first for the Vendee Globe, Enda.
I'm learning to play the trumpet as well, but I'm not ready yet to give you a demonstration on that,
Well,
because nobody can hear me practice,
exactly,
which is
Enda,
really, really good.
We'll save that for the finish line.
Trumpet that I brought with. So I'll give you a shot at the bow there again.
Yeah, do that.
We're nicely rolling along.
Fantastic.
Are there many people in the audience there?
Absolutely, standing room
I
only.
haven't done this. Really?
No. Anyway, great to speak with you,
Next
Enda.
time I'll cite you a poem.
Indeed, indeed. Anyway, thanks, Enda. We'll speak to you again in a few days. That's wonderful.
Regards to everybody.
So that is indeed the unstoppable Enda Coyne on board called Cullen Voyager. He's practicing the trumpet, but I think we'll save that, as I say, for the finish line. Any thoughts on that, Charles?
No, it's nice, but this is the Vendee Globe. You have a different story. There is performance.
Absolutely.
This is an adventure. That's why I like in the Vendee Globe.
And has Armel got a penny whistle, has he?
I think Armel is very serious. And
But it was nice today, actually. We did speak to him, and he said it's his son's birthday, and he promised that he'd be in the lead.
oh yes, nice. So that's why he maybe push a bit during the last night.
Anyway, let's have a look at the weather. The weather situation is good for the leaders at the front of the fleet. They're in northwesterly breeze, just marginal foiling, high pressure for Sebastien Josse just behind there. You can see that in the blue circle. And then looking further back, the three behind are in good breezes just now, 20 knots or 15 to 20 knots of northwesterly. Quito de Pavon is getting a frontal system tonight. He was talking about the calm before the storm in the early part of the day, and he's just preparing for that. He spoke about that on the French Live. And meantime, the depression is catching the peloton, the group of five. They're getting 35 to 40 knots in the gusts. And looking further back in the fleet, the peloton are just getting towards the Cape of Good Hope. And they have good breezes, but again, they have a low-pressure system coming with them, and that's giving them, I say, 30, 35 knots. And then you can see up in the high-pressure system, the south of the South Atlantic, then it's still very light for Didac Costa and for Sebastien Desmarau. And we did actually speak with Sebastien Desmarau earlier on. He has these ongoing problems with his engine. He has a starter motor issue, and hopefully we can maybe listen to Sebastien Desmarau. He said he's not going to head any further south into the Indian Ocean until his problem sorted. He's been trying to sort things out with this method, which Michel Desjardins used in the 2000-2001 race by trying to start the engine using the main sheet. And this is what Sebastien Desmarau told us this morning.
It's good to have no wind when you have so much work on the boat. I'm glad we find a place where there's no wind. So we can work on this bloody engine and dismantle the whole thing and trying to find a way to start the engine without the start engine. So it's a bit of a difficult time on board. Yesterday was a long day. We managed to find a way to get the engine to start once, just for a few seconds, using loads of ropes and using the sails to start the engine. So the power of the sails are basically putting a rope around the engine at some place and then getting the rope out all the way to the end of the boom. And then when you ease the mainsail completely, it just actions the rope, and the rope actions the engine. So I know that's the way to go. We just have to spend time fine-tuning it in order to have basically to have a secure way of starting the engine. That's the point. I don't want to go in the Indian Ocean, and I will remain in the Atlantic until I've got a very safe way of making sure I can start the engine whenever I need the engine.
So that was Sebastien Desmarau saying he will stay in the Atlantic unless he can get his engine going. It did sound a little bit more confident. He did have the engine going and he's in constant contact with the shore team. He's also spoken with Michel Desjoyeux and Mich's team. This is what worked for Mich in the 2000-2001 race, getting the engine started using the power of the sails and the main sheet in particular. So best of luck to Sebastien Desmarau. Just finished with Charles Caudrelier talking about the Volvo race next time. What's it going to take to win it this time with Dongfeng?
A lot of work. And I think, yeah, we are going to start to training in January, and I need to build a good team, and I already have my full team nearly. And yeah, we have to work more than the other one, be clever, and use the experience of the previous one to know. We know why we didn't win, so.
Why did you not win? I mean, there was consistency and small breakdowns.
I think, yeah, the difficulty on the Volvo Ocean race is to last, and for sure with the Chinese on board, it was more. We spent a lot of energy to prepare them, and I think we were only 6 on board, really thinking about the performance, really, instead of 8 on the other boat, so it makes a big difference at the end. And I was a bit tired, and I make some wrong decision, I think, at the end. But for sure, what really killed us is to lose the mast in the leg in the Southern Ocean. But yes, this is what is difficult. It's the same for the Vendee Globe. Is to last. It's a long race, and this is the main difficulty, is to last.
But you had a speed edge at times that really was quite impressive.
Yeah, we had a good speed because I think I did a good choice about the guy I have on board. Most of them come from the Figaro, and we used to sail on one design, and offshore one design, which is maybe one of the only fleet in the world to sail one design offshore. You don't have so much, and you have 50 boats. So I told you every detail is important, and I think that was a good choice, and that's why we managed to do so well with rookies on board.
Well, best of luck with that, Charles. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Mary. We'll look forward to following your career into the Vendee Globe and with the Figaro next year. So that's it for our live today, our Vendee Globe Live, our little slice of English here in Paris. Do join us if you're in Paris. There is a live audience, and you're more than welcome to come in. Armel Leclerc then on top. The 2 leaders are really joined by Elastic. A little bit of déjà vu compared with the last race. But join us again tomorrow, same time and the same place for Vendee Live.
Well, there is Armel Leclerc on Banque Populaire. He's slowly catching up me overnight. So he's obviously come with a bit better breeze, and maybe his foil's working a little bit, or maybe mine's not working quite so good, but he's definitely slightly quicker than me at the moment. But it can't be helped. I've just got to carry on working hard. And I'll be back on starboard. Yep, that's starboard in less than a day. So we look forward to that. In the meantime, I'm going to push hard as I can and try and stay in touch with this guy and see if we can at least try and go the same speed. It's been a good couple of days after the photo shoot, which I've had lots of messages. So I'm glad you all enjoyed the footage. But I won't see the footage or the pictures until I get home, which is a bit of a shame, but there we are. It's a real honour to be able to do that, and amazing to have a helicopter up and see those conditions. Obviously, we don't normally see what it's like in the Southern Ocean, but when these boats are doing more than 20 knots, that's what it's like. So it's a very harsh existence, but obviously quite normal for us. So I was a bit surprised by what everybody said. Obviously, it's good footage, but for us out here, it's completely normal. But looking ahead, I'm going to have a day and a half or so on starboard in the not too distant future, and then after that a long stint on port. So I'll be working hard, trying to stay in touch. That's it for now.
La nuit s'est bien passée. En fait, au moment du jibe, j'ai l'écoute de la voile d'avant qui s'est bloquée. Du coup j'étais fausse panne, je suis allé à l'avant pour décoincer l'écoute. Le temps que je fasse ça, il y a la mule qui a fait une cocotte, donc qui a fait des nœuds sur elle-même. Et voilà, le temps de m'occuper de ça, d'essayer de remettre un peu la voile en ordre. J'étais un peu fausse pagne, il y a la voile qui a claqué 2 fois dans la bastac. Et là j'ai 4 lattes de cassé. 4 lattes de grand voile de pété, donc là c'est la galère, hein. Il va falloir que je répare ça. Voilà, déjà j'ai préparé tout ce qu'il me faut là pour réparer mes lattes. Voilà, j'ai affalé la grand voile. Et puis j'ai sorti les 2 premières lattes. Voilà, là j'ai les morceaux pétés quoi. Donc c'est ça qu'on va réparer. Bon, j'ai retiré, ça y est, j'ai retiré toutes les lattes de la grand voile. Donc j'ai dû découper la grand voile au niveau des goussets pour récupérer les morceaux. Bon, ça y est, j'ai mes 4 lattes qui sont prêtes, dont 2 que j'ai dû manchonner. C'est pas mal, il n'y a plus qu'à remettre en place et ça va pas être simple. Bon, l'opération est sacrément compliquée. J'ai du mal à remettre les lattes là dans la grand voile, la voile est très raide et là je vais retirer les chariots du mât. Ça devrait m'aider un peu plus là, pour pouvoir les enfiler. Ça y est, c'est bon. J'ai renvoyé la grand voile. Voilà, ça m'a coûté un peu de temps, un peu d'énergie, mais c'est reparti avec une GV en état. Voilà. Bon bah nickel, à plus.